Okay, welcome back to part 2 of rational exponents. So now we're going to look at what we call radical expressions, or expressions under the square root or the cube root signs, and turn them into rational exponent form. So the biggest thing you need to know is that the number on the outside, that's called our index. If there's not a number written there, we've always looked at this is our square root sign. So the implied is if there's not a number there, it's a square root, it's a square. So we just don't write that. So on the first example, we've got an index of 3, and then underneath our radical, we have an exponent of 1. So the 27 doesn't have any other exponents, so it's 27 to the first power. So to rewrite this as a rational exponent form, we write the base, which is 27. Then we write it as a fraction using our underneath number as the top of the fraction, the numerator, and our index as the denominator of the fraction. So this is 27 to the 1/3 power. Okay, so using that same form, we're going to write our base. We're using our underneath fraction, or our underneath exponent as the numerator, and our index as the denominator. And then one more time, we've got, first we need to deal with what's going on inside our parentheses. So inside our parentheses, we have an x to the 1. So if I rewrite that, that's x to the underneath and the index. And that whole thing, x to the 1/4, is being raised to the 3rd. So power to the power, we're going to multiply. So it equals x to the 3/4 power. Okay, so using these as your example, I want you to pause your video and do 15 through 20. Just practice getting through all of them. You'll probably have to check back and just make sure you've got the pattern right as to which one goes on numerator and which one goes on denominator, and then check back for the explanation and make sure you got them all correct. Okay, once you get good at the pattern, these go very quickly. And then also, just remembering on 18 and 19 and 20 that you've got to deal with rewriting the radicals into rational exponents inside the parentheses and then raising that to the exponent power. For number 21 and 22, we are going to now combine everything that you've learned about exponents. And so they're going to be it's a puzzle. You're just going to have to take it little pieces at a time until you get the whole thing figured out. So I want you to pause your video and do this one on your own. Remember what you're dealing with and just take it one little piece at a time wherever you want to start until you get it completely simplified down. So do number 21 and 22 completely on your own, and then pause your video while you're doing it, and then check back to check on the answers and the explanation. Okay, so on number 21, I just took it one little piece at a time. I moved my w with the negative exponent down to the bottom. That's right here. My 2 I did nothing with, I just left him up here on the top. Then I worked on this puzzle piece right here and rewrote him as a rational exponent, so he's right there. And then I also dealt with this guy here, the 2w in parentheses squared. I rewrote those as 4w squared. So once I got it all into the correct place, I still had some work to do here on the bottom. So I went ahead and did the 4 and then w to the 4th. So I got it to this part and I realized I've still got one more thing I can simplify, and this is my final answer. And number 22 actually had a lot less to work on. I handled the puzzle piece of dealing with my radical into a rational exponent. I handled the puzzle piece of moving my negative exponent to the bottom. And then the last puzzle piece I had to deal with was when I multiply my 2 bases, I have to add my 2 exponents. And that gave me my answer. Okay, for number 23, it's giving you more of an application problem. So I want you to go ahead and read it and figure out a place to start and do all the work on it and get it all the way down to an answer. Pause your video while you do all this and then check back for the explanation. Okay, so really as long as you kept your wits about you and just plugged everything in. We knew that the capital A, the surface area, was 1493, so I plugged that in at the top. And then I went ahead and used the 4 and the number they gave me for pi, just the 3.14. All of this whole thing raised to the 1/2 power. So I used my calculator and just calculated what was inside first. Just got the answer to this, which is 118.9. And then I used my calculator again and raised that to the 1/2 power. And that gave me my approximate answer, as I did round it to the 10th, as 10.9. Okay, the very last one, it's wanting us to take this radical expression and write it in exponential form. So again, pause your video, get it completed, and then check back for the very final solution. Okay, so I just kind of broke down the parts of the puzzle and dealt with my cube root of a, rewriting that as a rational exponent of a to the 1/3 power. Did that both times. So what that gave me was 2a to the 1/3 plus 3a to the 1/3. So I'm just adding them together. That just means it's 5a to the 1/3. I'm not multiplying, I'm not dividing, I'm not raising a power to a power, so there's nothing I'm going to do to the exponents. They just ride along like a hat.